that 2 employees had been bullied into quitting by Meghan through unacceptable behavior. And Jason was concerned about a 3rd employee that could potentially leave under the Sussexes. Jason's email read in part, "I am very concerned that the Duchess was able to bully 2 PAs out of the household in the past year. Meghan Markle was unpleasant here stories." Emails to staff at 5 a.m. chastised if you didn't respond immediately. Meghan's private secretary, Samantha Cohen, saying working with Harry and Meghan was like working with teenagers, aka the worst. Samantha recently admitted that she was one of 10 staff members interviewed over Meghan Markle bullying allegations, telling Australia's Herald Sun, "I was only supposed to stay for 6 months, but stayed for 18. We couldn't find a replacement for me."
They called her a humanitarian. They called her a feminist. But her staff? They called her something else entirely, Duchess Difficult. And trust me, the stories behind that name will leave you speechless.
And when we did, we took them on tour to Africa with Harry and Meghan to show them the ropes, but they left as well while in Africa.
Forget the polished speeches and glowing interviews. What insiders are whispering about Meghan Markle paints a very different picture. It happened in a hotel hallway, away from the flashing cameras and carefully curated smiles. According to people who claim they were there, Meghan didn't just lose her temper, she obliterated someone.
Situation for poor Sam. Behind the scenes, bullying allegations were nothing new. Jason Knauf, a former Kensington Palace communications aide, was challenged with managing media for Prince William, Princess Kate, Prince Harry, and Meghan Markle.
The trigger? A small mistake. The reaction? Nuclear. One witness described it as pure ice in her voice, the kind that makes your stomach drop before the words even land. Another source went even further. It wasn't yelling, it was dismantling. You could feel the power shift in the room.
His job was, how do we say this nicely? A nightmare from hell. Will and Kate were easy breezy. And then along came the bull in the china shop. In October 2018, Jason sent an email.
This is the same Meghan who stood on world stages preaching compassion, the Meghan who told Oprah about kindness and mental health. Now, the irony is impossible to ignore. And the most dangerous part? Insiders swear the whole thing was caught on CCTV. Yes, there's allegedly a video, time-stamped and crystal clear.
He's out of the household in the past year. The treatment of name removed was totally unacceptable.
If that footage ever leaks, no amount of spin will save her. We're talking brand meltdown, endorsements gone, and the Duchess narrative crashing in real time. Because Meghan built an empire on the idea of empathy. And this is the kind of thing that doesn't just crack a facade, it shatters it.
Jason stresses the Duchess seemed intent on always having someone in her sights. She is bullying, name removed, and seeking to undermine her confidence.
It sounds like satire, right? The Sussex Survivor Squad. But this isn't a joke. It's a phrase Meghan's former staff allegedly use for themselves, a badge of honor for surviving what they describe as emotional warfare. These weren't assistants in the traditional sense. They weren't employees. They were, in their own words, survivors of Meghan's world.
Email exchanges were read out loud to him, and he was not given the messages in its original form. Lowe also insists that he was shown physical evidence and other conversations backing up the allegations of bullying.
According to insiders, working for Meghan was not a job. It was a test of endurance. Imagine this. Your phone buzzing at 3 a.m., messages demanding an immediate response to something that could have easily waited until morning. Picture yourself rewriting the same email 12 times, only to have each version shredded with ruthless commentary. For some, the anxiety didn't end with resignation. "I still wake up panicking," one former staffer admitted.
Days before Harry and Meghan's interview with Oprah, and the Sussexes wasted no time calling the story a smear campaign.
What made it worse, they say, was Meghan's ability to flip like a switch. When Harry was in the room, warm, sweet, glowing like a Hollywood spotlight. The moment he stepped out, ice cold, eyes sharp, tone cutting enough to leave scars. "You didn't work for her," another insider revealed. "You served her, and even then, nothing was ever good enough."
And threatening legal action that they unsurprisingly never pursued. Valentine detailed the event in his book Courtiers and explained to Megyn Kelly why the idea of this being a smear campaign by Buckingham Palace was ridiculous.
Then there are the specific horror stories. An assistant humiliated for a minor calendar error, reduced to tears while Meghan reportedly smirked. A British aide was mocked for her accent in front of the entire team. It wasn't witty banter, the staffer said. It was humiliation packaged as humor.
He said, "That's a ludicrous allegation because if you read what I wrote, Buckingham Palace does not emerge well from this."
These people weren't bitter interns. They were seasoned professionals, some of the best in their fields. And now, they've formed a support network, quietly swapping stories like war veterans comparing battle scars. The Sussex Survivor Squad may sound sensational, but for those who lived it, the phrase feels painfully accurate.
They messed up because they did nothing. These allegations of bullying were made.
Let's not sugarcoat this. The whispers about Meghan didn't start in California. The palace knew. They always knew. According to insiders, Meghan's behavior wasn't a secret behind those royal gates. It was what they call an open secret, the kind everyone pretends isn't happening, because admitting it would cause an explosion.
Just sat on it. So the idea that Buckingham Palace should put this out is a joke. At the time, in a statement, the palace said, "We are clearly very concerned about allegations."
One story still makes the rounds among staff. Meghan allegedly lashed out at a Frogmore Cottage gardener over something minor, so harshly that word made its way to the Queen herself. Yes, Queen Elizabeth, the monarch famous for her calm and quiet authority, reportedly intervened. And if you know anything about the late Queen, you know she did not like people being rude to her staff. Sources claim Meghan was personally ticked off by Her Majesty. Imagine that conversation.
In the Times, following claims made by former staff of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, the royal household does not and will not tolerate bullying or harassment in the workplace.
Royal reprimands didn't change a thing. If anything, insiders suggest it made Meghan double down. What followed has been described as emotional warfare in couture, subtle, cutting remarks, eye rolls mid-sentence, humiliating questions disguised as jokes. No dramatic plate throwing, just relentless precision cruelty, death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Lowe explained that his article hit the print prior to the Oprah Winfrey interview strategically.
The fallout, staff crying in bathrooms, dreading their phones buzzing with a message at ungodly hours. Some quit outright, fleeing what they described as a hostile environment in tiaras. And yet, to the public, Meghan remained the Duchess of Compassion, the advocate for mental health, the relatable royal. The contrast between public image and private reality couldn't be starker.
He told Megyn Kelly if the bullied staff had put their story out after Oprah, it just would have been lost in the noise. No one would have paid any attention.
The truth is, the palace played its usual game. Stay silent, manage the optics, and pray it blows over. But here's what they didn't count on. People talk, and now those whispers are turning into roars. The question isn't whether this truth will come out. It's how loud the blast will be when it does.
Would have come across as sour grapes. So the only way to make sure that they got heard was to make their stories come out before Oprah. It's not some evil palace conspiracy. It's just the way these young people suffered.
On Instagram, Meghan Markle looks like the ultimate modern-day icon. She's the advocate for mental health, the feminist champion, the woman who redefined royalty. But behind the glossy photos and carefully edited interviews, it's a different story. A story that former staffers say is laced with contradictions and cold reality.
In their view, at the hands of Meghan, they just wanted that to be heard by the rest of the world.
There was Meghan, the actress. And then there was Meghan, the boss, one insider spilled. Two completely different people. Public Meghan preached kindness. Private Meghan reportedly ruled with an iron grip. She didn't just want things done. She wanted them done her way, on her timeline, and preferably with applause.
In November of 2021, Valentine was asked by the BBC whether his original story was licensed by Prince William or had William's approval. Lowe replied, absolutely not.
The problem? That attitude doesn't blend well with big business. After the royal exit, Meghan and Harry promised a fresh start, multi-million-dollar Netflix deals, a hit Spotify podcast, and a global lifestyle brand. But the cracks came fast. Spotify dropped them after one season, with a top exec openly calling them grifters. Netflix quietly shelved planned shows. Meghan's much-hyped lifestyle brand, Riviera Orchard, insiders claim they can't even lock down a CEO because, well, word travels fast.
This wasn't the only time former palace aides spoke to The Times. In December of 2022, one anonymous source complained about their confidentiality agreement.
And here's the real tea. While Meghan was posting quotes about empowering women, multiple former employees were suffering panic attacks. She'd send texts at 5 a.m. and expect an immediate response. One source said, "If you didn't, brace yourself." So, how does that line up with her wellness and mental health messaging? It doesn't.
They claim that Meghan knows we can't financially protect ourselves by going to court, so she keeps pushing. It's all a game for her, and she's loving it.
Meghan built an empire on empathy, but insiders insist the reality was pure control. Now, the empire looks shaky. The brand she fought for, polished for, and built brick by brick is teetering. And if one wrong move goes viral, the whole facade could collapse like a house of cards.
The source argued the only way to end it once and for all is for us to be allowed to speak and for the palace to firmly reject their lies.
At first, it sounded like a tabloid smear. Duchess Difficult. Meghan's fans screamed sexism. They blamed the media for tearing down a strong, successful woman. But palace insiders swear this nickname wasn't born in a newsroom. It was born in real life, whispered in corridors, exchanged like a secret code among overworked staff.
Those sources have remained anonymous. However, royal author Tom Bower has been a bit more transparent when it comes to palace turnover. He cited multiple staffers that resigned, including Katrina McKeever, a member of Kate's communications team.
It started as a joke, a coping mechanism during late nights when assistants were rewriting emails for the 14th time. But like all nicknames rooted in truth, it stuck, and for good reason. You couldn't please her, one former staffer confessed. Every task was a test. Every interaction felt like walking through a minefield.
And Melissa Tubati, a personal assistant who claims that Meghan had unattainably precise demands.
Then came the infamous stories, like Meghan firing off emails at 5 a.m., expecting immediate replies, or berating staff over minor errors in front of others. One aide even claimed she mocked a British assistant's accent in front of the team, passing it off as banter. Spoiler alert, the assistant didn't laugh.
While the Sussexes deny the allegations or say things like, "It's not my job to coddle people," allegedly, Harry does vaguely address the issue in his book Spare.
Eventually, Duchess Difficult became more than a nickname. It was a warning whispered to newbies. Brace yourself, because when Meghan walks in the room, the temperature drops. And if you slip up, you'll feel the burn.
The Times of London originally reported that Meghan reduced staff members to tears. Fast forward to the release of Spare, Harry writes, more than once, a staff member slumped across their desk and wept. For all this, every bit of it, Willie blamed one person, Meg.
What makes this worse? Meghan has built her brand on empowerment and empathy. So when former employees talk about humiliation, control, and mental breakdowns, it's not just a bad look. It's a full-on branding crisis. Because one thing's clear, if this nickname keeps resurfacing, it's not because of sexism. It's because too many people live through reality.
He told me so several times, and he got cross when I told him he was out of line. He was just repeating the press narrative, spouting fake stories he'd read or been told. William called Meghan difficult, rude, and abrasive. Of the clash between Prince William and Harry,
Tom Bower didn't mince words when he teased, "The worst is yet to come." And if his sources are correct, Meghan's alleged narcissism could make everything we've heard so far look tame.
Tom Bower reported Harry was outraged, but the accusations, whether justified or not, were a matter of fact. So was a certain level of staff turnover.
She doesn't empower women, one Hollywood insider claimed. She overpowers them. That statement alone is a branding nightmare for someone who's built a reputation as a feminist icon. But the stories keep coming. Our stunts planned down to the last camera angle, interviews orchestrated for sympathy, every move designed to keep Meghan at the center of the story.
The royal reporter Richard Palmer says he watched Meghan and Harry rip apart royal staff, and no one could do anything right in the eyes of the Sussexes. Or what about Meghan's trip to the Fiji market in 2018?
Insiders say this obsession with control wasn't limited to palace life. It followed her to Hollywood. During her podcast days, producers allegedly walked away because working with Meghan was exhausting. Netflix execs reportedly bristled at her constant interference, and let's not forget Spotify, where an exec outright called the Sussexes grifters. When corporate power players start using words like that, it's bad.
There, at the time, and witnessed Meghan turn and hiss at a member of her entourage, clearly incandescent with rage about something, and demand to leave.
The narrative Meghan tried to own, that of a silenced, misunderstood woman, is slipping. Now whispers suggest that what she really wanted wasn't freedom or fairness, it was control, full stop. And if those whispers keep growing, Meghan's not just in trouble, she's in free fall.
I later saw this same female, highly distressed member of staff sitting in an official car with tears running down her face. Our eyes met, and she lowered hers, humiliation etched on her features.
Through all of this chaos, one question keeps haunting the headlines. Where is Harry? The man who gave up his birthright, his family, his country for Meghan? Does he know the storm swirling around her? Does he care? Or is he so deep in her orbit that he can't see the damage?
Royal reporter Emily Andrews told me almost the exact same story. Now, royal author Tom Quinn has also documented Meghan's behavior.
Some insiders say Harry is painfully aware but paralyzed, torn between loyalty and reality. Others believe he's blissfully blind, wrapped in Meghan's version of events, and too proud to admit he made a mistake. Either way, his silence speaks louder than words.
Talked to a woman named Kitty Power. She told you Diana was messy. I'd never read that before, that Diana was messy.
Here's the harsh truth. In the court of public opinion, silence isn't neutral. It's complicated. And if Meghan falls, Harry falls with her. His image, once that of a brave royal breaking free, is starting to morph into something else entirely. The man who stood by while it all burned.
That just is so sweet to me.
Yeah. Well, the thing is about, that was another contrast that various servants said to me about the difference between Meghan and Diana. I think Meghan was always worried that people wouldn't treat her.
And then there's the nuclear option, the rumored CCTV footage. If it exists and ever leaks, this won't just be another tabloid scandal. It will be an extinction-level event for Meghan's carefully constructed image.
As if she really was a member of the royal family. So she was overly harsh and got cross with the servants, occasionally shouted at them.
That clip, according to insiders, shows Meghan at her rawest. No filters, no curated lighting, no soft focus angles. Just the cold, calculated fury she spent years denying. And when people see that, game over. If that rumored CCTV footage ever leaks, Meghan's entire brand could implode overnight. So here's the question. How much longer can she keep the mask on? Sound off below, because this story is far from over.